Good morning. I want to thank General Williams that on that topic this morning that makes us all tremble a little bit. Interestingly, FAIA has been hacked a couple of times recently with some ransomware and some other malware, so we know painfully about many of the things he's speaking of. Some of you who I don't know, my name is Jeff Grady. I'm the president and CEO of the Florida Association of Insurance Agents, going on my 19th year at this wonderful association we have in Florida. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this morning, I wanted to talk about the subject that we're perhaps best known for, and that's advocacy. And you know, that term gets tossed around a lot. It's maybe misused sometimes. And really the question I want to pose to you is, does advocacy still matter? You know, today's member, and it's not just FAIA, it's all associations, do not join typically for the same reasons that their parents or generations ago did. In fact, the feeling of belonging to a cause or some loyalty to the group that says, I need to do my part to be a part of this effort that advocates on behalf of my industry is really kind of absent from a lot of the folks that we see today that come to the association. And it pains me, but it's a reality. And we also know, and this is really what breaks my heart sometimes, is that you can't sell advocacy to a new member. That's not what compels them to join. In fact, they know that they get that without joining. In fact, they can sit outside the association or the special interest group and benefit from that work without necessarily having to be a part of it or pay for it. So how is it that we make them understand and maybe bring them into this advocacy word? And advocacy, by the way, does not necessarily mean that we're taking on this group or that group within some realm of government. Advocacy is a form that I take every day with regard to speaking to carriers, speaking to public consumer groups, or to legislators or regulators. It takes on a kind of world of its own in trying to advance the interest of independent agents. And so I want to talk to you just for a moment about a couple of advocacy issues that we work on and why we think it still really matters, but with always knowing that this isn't going to make that person that's on the street outside of our membership necessarily join. What we're probably going to have to do there is have something for them, like access to a product or an access to an event, and then demonstrate why it is truly that FAI or associations like us exist, and that is, and this word is sometimes bantied about as a dirty one, to advance the cause of our special interest, and you are our special interest. And once they experience that, once they become a party to it, such as, I have a problem with the DFS, they're at my door, they're investigating my agency for unlawful inducements or rebating or unfair trade practices, what do I do? That's when FAI knows exactly what to do. We've been in that situation countless times. We know how to take that agency or that affected party through that process and hopefully get to some resolution that is helpful to them, more helpful than had they not been a member and not had an advocate on their side. So yeah, advocacy still matters, but let's talk a little bit about what it does, why we think it still matters, and how these forms of advocacy are taking place today. Slide, have you heard the agency business is being disrupted again? If you read a lot about some of the trends and acquisitions and mergers and so forth, you see InsurTech is the newest, latest, and greatest disruptor. And by the way, InsurTech just, technology firms, venture capitalists that are coming into the business and trying to disrupt the chain of distribution. That is what they are most focused on, is your end of it. Not as much as the company side or the underwriting side or the actuarial side or the claim side. They want to get between you and the customer. And they're out there. There's Lemonade, there's Hippo, there's several others that are trying to say that the insurance business is a clunky one. It doesn't really translate to the consumer. It doesn't really feel easy to them. And so let's make it easier through the compilation of big data. We can fill out an app with the exception of perhaps 3 fields. You can fill in these fields, and within a few minutes, we have quotes for you and the ability to bind and issue policies. And, there's some truth to that. We all know that this is a complex business, and oftentimes our customers don't appreciate that or may not realize some of the exposures that they have and what it takes to properly insure them. But there are a whole lot of folks outside telling them this is easy. And the insurance industry is making this complicated and keeping it from you. Here, try us. And guess what? A lot of folks are. So what does that mean for the independent agent? Will they once again find themselves, being compared to the horse and buggy? As the slide says, these folks aren't the first. Certainly they won't be the last. You've seen the banks come into your business. You've seen captive agents come out of the ground. You've seen direct writers come out of the ground. And in every instance, almost every instance, you've heard the forecast of the demise of the independent agent. That's been part of our history. We have not gone the role of the travel agency, and we're not going to go the role of those obsolete entities that have failed to change, failed to recognize the competitive threat that is facing them, and found a way to overcome it. Agents have a place, and they will always have a place, because I think a lot of relationships are what drives the business of insurance, not necessarily the commodity or the data fields. It's more of that face-to-face, and it is. I'm a perfect example. A lot of folks think personal lines is a simple business. It can be commoditized. I'm a guy that is on a second marriage, have kids from one marriage, another, from my prior marriage, and we have multiple drivers and multiple homes and things that are kind of difficult to cover. I would just, die to think that I could go online and put a few data fields together and come out the other end with a simple insurance solution. No, mine is complex. But it's really up to a lot of you to demonstrate the complexity of that. And I heard someone telling me yesterday, I'm so tired of the agents who sell down and who put their product out there on the basis of price, because I'm the one left to clean them up and try to sell them up on coverages, and I look like the bad guy. Well, that's the road we're on. And I believe that agents will continue to prevail in that space. But I also believe that agents that are not able to capture the digital space and to be on the web and transact business there are very much in peril. You don't have to be Hippo, you don't have to be Lemonade, but you do have to be present there, and you do have to be able to demonstrate your capabilities, and you do have to make sure that you're not selling on price. A lot of companies come to me and say, we see these other companies experimenting with direct writing online, and we find that our agents sometimes are dealing with some of these companies and writing business with them that don't seem to have the same view of an independent agent that we do. Why is it that we should continue to write through independent agents? Why should we not go online and start to capture this business without the agent involved? To the extent that agents commoditize their business and they sell on price, they are making that company's decision easy for them. And I'm going to tell you the painful truth, and you all can call me something bad afterwards and maybe tell me later today that I've not got this right, but I think I do. A lot of agents who say they don't sell on price don't understand what's going on at the other end of the hall. And I get it. I mean, I understand the customer is going to demand, I want the best price. But the best price is not always associated with that simple, one piece of the equation. Price compared to coverage, compared to your situation, the exposures you present, and whether or not this package adequately represents value to you. If your agency and again, the carriers look at this and they feel this way, if they are not feeling as if you are delivering that value proposition of explaining the coverages, making sure that the complex situations are handled properly, and then talking about the price, you're not fulfilling your role, and you are only a matter of time before that type of role is obsolete to a lot of these digital and online providers. So can we compete? Can we win? I'm sure we can. We always have. And FAI and other groups like us, that's what we do. We advocate for independent agents in that arena. We know that they're not going away, that they create a fierce source of alternate competition, but what do we do to equip agents to better compete and respond to that? That's things like TrustedChoice.com. That's things like web services and mobile apps and 24/7 service. I remember standing here 10 years ago and we wouldn't talk about 24/7 service because that wasn't business hours. Today it is, because your clients are looking at you online all day and at night. And you know what the real truth is? Independent agents are not well equipped to deal with the digital customer as a whole. We, as part of TrustedChoice.com, we get phone recordings of digital leads being delivered into agents' offices. Some of you know those, and I suspect are using them as training exercises in your office. But I'm going to tell you, and it's just as truthful as I can be, it's a horror show. Some of the phone trees and some of the lag times and some of the traditional service methods do not work for the digital customer. And by the way, all the digital customers are not online shoppers that you really want to shove off to the next place. Some of them are, but more and more, and as our kids grow up and they only know the phone and the computer and the internet, that is going to become your customer. And they demand your attention when they want it, after hours, maybe at night. So some of the agents that are trying to respond to this are trying to get backup services that can handle that lead and handle a referral to them in a timely manner that allows them to connect with that digital customer. And so, yeah, we can win, but we have to adapt, and I still believe that it's a complex business that is sold on a relationship basis that cannot be solely based on price, and that's what you do. There's also an advocacy effort about human resources. We've heard a couple times today about, and you've heard it all before, the industry's aging. We used to talk about this in this room and laugh about it a little bit and chuckle about the day when all of these folks were going to start retiring. Well, by the way, it's now. It has arrived. And you've got a workforce problem within not only the agency business, but in the company side as well. And the biggest problem we have is it's not only us. There's other industries that face the same battle, and there's only so many qualified applicants to go around. but our challenge is even greater because insurance careers are probably one of the most poorly understood occupations in the business world. We do a lot of work with FSU. FSU is the state's only RMI department. We sit on their executive council and have more than doubled their major count in 3 years, from 109, I believe it was, to 278 RMI declared majors at Florida State. You know how we do that? For the most part, FSU will let me and some of the folks who work in the business go before their undeclared majors that are in, say, a prerequisite course for the business school and talk to them about insurance careers. There's a course there that's called just Principles and Risks, credit risks, business risks, risk management, and we get to come before them and talk to them about all of the various occupations in insurance. Undoubtedly, every time we get to do this, half dozen to 20 students show up and they say, hey, I wasn't really interested in this insurance thing, but now that I know a little more about it, I am intrigued and I might change my major to maybe become a dual major. By the way, so many students come to universities today with advanced placement credits. They have AP courses that basically make them a sophomore coming into the classroom or coming into college. And so we get a group there that may have already started a major but now can adapt to another major because there's time left. They've got such a head start on the university system that they can put two majors together, and RMI has become increasingly a dual major. But it's about telling our story, and really the industry has done a horrible job of telling our story and what our careers are about. And so we are even that much more challenged. But workforce is one of those things that we've got to get right, because it's not only your principals and your producers, it's the service personnel that's disappearing as well. Where are you going to find those folks? Well, we have really been working hard since 2012, again, on an advocacy front, to establish a state college program. We went to the legislature in 2012, passed a bill that gave licenses to students who enrolled and took an insurance specialization track, 9 hours, and they could come out as soon as they got their AA and had completed those 9 hours successfully, could come out with up to 3 licenses, a 440, a 2044, and a 215. And you might say, well, yeah. Well, at the state college, by the way, that's a 27-year-old student typically that is a minority. And they are at a career crossroads that is a little different than where the university student is. So they're ready to work. They're looking for something, and we felt like that was the best place to show what an insurance career might look like. And I'm very happy to tell you that these 6 colleges that you see on the screen there are up and running. And we have a couple of hundred students at any one time going through this process now in Florida. There are 4 more colleges that will come online by the next 12 months. And we will be, hopefully, in the neighborhood of 300 to 400 students always coming through the state college system, trying to get to a career in insurance, primarily by being aware of it. You know, again, it's not that hard of a sell once we make them aware of it, but our industry just does not get perceived well by younger people, and so we've got to do a better job, and the state college program will allow us to do that. We do this through our Good Works Fund. I won't spend a lot of time on that. That's a foundation that FAIA initially seeded with a $500,000 contribution. Our companies are really strong partners to that. Recently, Brian and I went on a tour around the state to get sustaining gifts, and we had 7 companies, and we'll have them listed in our newsletters here in the coming weeks, that committed a $25,000 gift, $5,000 over 5 years, to help us sustain these colleges. These colleges, by the way, don't have insurance professors standing by. They don't have curriculums. They don't have internships set up. We have to go and create this. And there's so many volunteers in this room, many of whom I see, that have been a part of that. You can be a part of that too. You have to get out there and get our industry known and your agency or your company known for them to want to come work with us. So we're showing you where these folks are, where that qualified applicant pipeline is forming, and it is up to us to demonstrate that we are worthy of their consideration of a career. And so we're doing this through the Good Works Fund. The colleges typically ask for anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year to stipend the professor, or sometimes to incent the students through scholarships because they don't want to choose insurance. They want to choose accounting or marketing or insurance is, I don't want to do that. So we have to kind of, here, kitty, give them a little scholarship and get them in. And through our Good Works Fund, we've been able to do that, and we're excited about the progress we've made. There's nothing like this in America at this point. We really, I mean, that sounds like a bold statement, but there's Invest, and Invest is a great program. It's an insurance awareness program. It happens at the high school. There's some of you that are probably former Invest grads, but this is the next level. This is where they're ready to work. We have them, right at the intersection, and we want to turn them on to an insurance career, and we're doing that and getting better at it. Finally, on the advocacy side, insurance is considered part of the public trust. This is the advocacy you would think that we're talking about. But it is. It's, you say public trust. It's a compulsory item in many cases. Obviously auto and when you have a mortgage. But also there's a guarantee that FAIA here in Florida says to a consumer, if the insurance company goes bust, we've got it covered. Well, if the government steps in and makes that pledge, guess what? You are regulated. And there's a lot of it. It's legislative, it's congressional, it's all those things that we worry about in Tallahassee. And I will tell you, you think about this, about 90% of the business that you do is regulated in our state capital. The rest of it, flood, crop, that's up in Washington. And what's it worth for you to have a great business partner and ally in both of those cities? Have you ever thought of that? What's it worth for you to be able to call our lawyer, Laura Pierce, and say, Laura, these folks are at my door. What do I do? That's when you will realize that advocacy is really what it is that we do. And it happens every day. And hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but we are there to safeguard the interest of independent agents. And that is why we come to work every day. Yeah, we like throwing these conventions, and we do education, and we have products and services. And it feels a little empty sometimes when an agent will say, yeah, if I'm not going to get my E&O, or if I'm not going to be able to access, I don't want FAI. Wow, I think you just missed the biggest part of why we come to work every day. I know if it wasn't for advocacy, I don't think you all would need me. I think some of this other stuff could probably get done a little cheaper without me. But I am committed, and I know our staff is, to being a fierce advocate for independent agents. These are some of the entities that we do it through. Trusted Choice, of course, is the brand. ACT, the Agents Council of Technology. I'm starting to run slightly over, but I can't do this without telling you this. Companies, please, don't crucify me for this, but companies, you are the ones that drive agents to do certain things. Consolidation is rifling through our industry right now, and I would say that the companies have largely brought this on. They have said that if you don't have X million in dollars, you can't have an appointment. Unless you get to this many $1 million in premium, you can't have the better pay grade. So what did you think was going to happen? That they were all going to sit and look at those rules and just sort of play by them? No. They're going to consolidate. Scale seems to matter. And now you've got some companies wondering whether or not that's good for their long-term future. Does the shelf space that they now get in that larger office really matter? Does it feed them the business that they want? Same thing on technology. You know, a lot of this disruption on the distribution side is brought by the clunkiness between agents and companies going back and forth with, frankly, archaic technology in some cases. We know firsthand. We do a lot of product work with companies, and I sympathize with agents sometimes as to what they have to go through with companies. But that piece of it is what is appealing to disruptors. They believe that connection between agents and companies is what they can exploit. Because it's clunky, it's not efficient, it's not transparent, it doesn't happen real quickly, and so we can go after that. Agents Council of Technology is something that we have in place to help us with that. Invest, InsurePAC, Impact, FAIA, PAC, those are our political committees. National Alliance. We're affiliated with the National Alliance because we want to be the best at training agents. We think a professional agent is the best way for us to represent ourselves to the public. So we want you to be the very best, and we believe that our programming through the National Alliance allows us to do that. Just want to conclude by saying, you know, this sounds cliche, but it's really yours. It's not mine. Sometimes as staff, you work and you come to the office every day, and the old exec, which I guess I officially am becoming, the old exec syndrome is when you start to think that the members work for you. And that's not true. We work for you. And when I'm not here any longer, you still will be here. It's yours. You need to make sure that it is always a fierce advocate for independent agents. It's not mine. It's not my job, really. I'm told what to do. I'm directed. It's your direction, and it's you telling through our board and through our governing committees what the association is to do on behalf of independent agents. Don't forget that. This is your association. Finally, I just want to say this. I always love this quote. This was from John Laurie a few years back. FAIA, where competitors come together as colleagues. I know. In the local communities, you guys go at it pretty hard sometimes. In fact, I don't know that I could be an agent. I'd want to beat a few of you up every once in a while. But this is such a great quote because I see it every day. And I was talking to a new member yesterday. When we get together, it's like all that stuff sort of slips out to the side and we recognize this common cause and we put our hands in it and we work together. That's what's the neatest thing about FAI, where competitors come together as colleagues. It's what really does, I think, appeal to a new member about advocacy when they see it happen, when they can come to one of these meetings and they're lost about what to do with this company or this particular situation, and they find one of you to ask a question and you share all that information with them and they go back with something in their pocket that they can use. That's powerful stuff, man. That is powerful stuff. And so FAI is not unique in the association realm that way, but we like to think that you all are special and that you, when you get together like this, that you have a very altruistic viewpoint and that we all work together collectively. Well, thank you for your time today. Thank you for hearing me about advocacy. It's important work, and I appreciate the fact that you all are here and that you've heard a little bit about it, and I encourage you to become a part of it. So thank you.